Today, we're going to be testing the effects of using a plexiglass scraper on canvas panel. And we're going to be using two different types of paint to see the different effects that it creates using the same scraping tool and the same substrate versus different types of paint. I'll be using these two canvas panels today, same size, same style. So that will be kind of our constant, the scientific experiment. I've actually never done this. And we're going to be using the same three similar colors in both acrylic paint and gloss enamel: black, white, and yellow. And we're going to be using the same scraping tool. So we're going to be using this plexiglass scraper that I made by hand. And so what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the table and we're going to put the canvas panels down. We're going to put the paint on them the same exact way on both of these paintings and see the effects of how they turn out using the same scraper but different types of paint, so that you can see the different effects that different types of paint create even using the same technique. So that's it. We won't waste any more time. Let's head over to the table and get started. So I've got my paint and I've got my canvas panel down. So we're going to do our first canvas panel using the acrylic paint. So I've got white here and I've got black and I've got yellow. And what we're going to do is we're going to scrape left to right every single time. And we're going to do at least 2 layers of each. However many layers we end up doing on this canvas panel with acrylic paint, we will also do with the gloss enamel. And I don't want to waste a whole lot of time, so we're going to go ahead and lay our paints out. We've got our paints over to the side, and I've got my scraper here next to me. So without wasting any more time here, we're going to get right into it. Now, we're not going to paint our background because we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, although it would give us a nice clean background. And if you were going to do a scrape painting for real, most likely you would do a background. But because of this test, because we're going to just kind of see the effects of it, we're not going to do that. So we are actually going to go in this order of black, yellow, white every time. And we're going to start with our black. And like I said, we're going to do this the same way every time, going from left to right. So we're going to take this little tab out, we're going to set it aside, we're going to close our little paint thingy up, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with a nice thick bead of black right on the edge, right to the end. And I'm going to move these paints, and we are going to get our plexiglass scraper. We're going to bend it quite far, and we're going to pull this bad boy across. And you can see that it doesn't give us a lot of coverage with that. We're going to go over it one more time, a little bit more out of it. That's perfectly fine. Those layers are actually going to add up as we go. All right, so we've got the first layer of black. Let's go ahead and move into our yellow. So same thing. We're going to run this along the edge here. And it's already starting. All right, we've got our yellow. Let's go ahead and get our scraper here, put it down, and we're really going to try to pull this through as best as we can. Okay, got a little bit more kind of movement through it. Perfect. We do have a lot of white over here. We may end up, going a different direction with the next set of layers. We'll kind of see how it plays out. All right, so we've got white unopened here, and we will run our final layer along the edge. All right, perfect. All right, so we've got that there, got our scraper. We're gonna push pretty heavily down into it. We're gonna try to pull that white all the way as far as we can. Nice. So we are getting some nice dispersion with these colors. However, it's not covering the other end. So let's go ahead and flip it around, and we will run through it again with the same colors in the same order and see what it gives us. All right, so we've got some nice stacking going on. I will say, like, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys here. We do have some nice stacking of the layers. That's what those little waves are. And you can kind of see that they are getting a little bit of, layering, which is essentially kind of what you want in one of these scraped paintings. Acrylic is great for that. It's a little more difficult to do with gloss enamel, and you will probably see that in this video. Okay, so we've got that. We are going to do the same thing. We're going to start with black. We're going to run it along the edge. Perfect. Cap it, and we will pull it along here. Okay, that actually looks pretty cool. I do like that effect, but we're not going to stop there. We really want to make sure that we cover some of these gaps here, and you know, we really want these colors to really work together. So we're going to go over it again. We're going to run our yellow, which is running out along the edge. Now, if you ever watch any other tutorials on these scraped paintings, a lot of people will put the paint on the plexiglass scraper, excuse me. For acrylic, that works great, and I do like doing that. However, for gloss enamel, because it's so runny, it just drips right off. So I wanted to use the effect of testing it, doing it the same way with both, to show you that effect and have that constant, because it's kind of like a science experiment. So we'll pull our yellow now. We're gonna try to, you know, get it to really move. All right. And I think I pushed a little too hard at the end. We are getting some nice broken kind of waves here, but the colors are starting to run. So I do want to kind of make this our last one and see if we can really pull these colors through. All right, so we've got our last one. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so let's see what we can do. So I'm not gonna tilt it all the way down. I'm gonna leave it. And we're gonna pull this. All right, so this is the final piece. We did get some stacking. I pulled it a little too heavy on the last two runs, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. You can see that it was kind of crushing the paint, because that's what is going on here. You can see that the binders are kind of separating because it was pulled too many times. So that's a word of caution. You can see the background, the white. Now, we didn't paint the background, so if we had painted it, you wouldn't be seeing that. So overall, it was pulled too many times and too heavily. Now, if you want the layers to stack a little more, don't push as hard, just kind of put it on there and just slide it across. And I'm thinking about doing a painting where we do a lot of layers and barely pull it through, so I might do that. Anyway, so that is it. I need to go wash off this scraper. I'm gonna go do that now, and I'll come back and we will do the gloss enamel version to compare. All right, I'm back, and I've got my second canvas down. You can see it here, and off to the side, I've got my paints, so white, black, and yellow, and we are gonna get right into it. So we're gonna start with black. I don't know why I didn't put that one closer, but I'm gonna move these into the order that we'll be using them. There we go. All right, so we're gonna start with our black, kind of like we did with the acrylic painting, and we will run some black paint right along the edge here. Now, it's not going to be the same because it's a little more liquidy here, and we are just going to run that down, and we're going to go with it. So we got our scraper here, and we're going to pull this paint. Okay, now in and of itself, that actually looks pretty cool. And if you were ever gonna do a minimalist painting, you could probably pull that off. All right, but we're gonna keep moving, and we're gonna move right into the yellow here. And I'm gonna try to not put so much right in one spot. And we're gonna run the yellow down, maybe put just a little bit right there, and call it good. And now we're gonna pull this yellow through. You can definitely see that because of the thinness of the yellow, it definitely spreads a lot easier. And you can see that it really pulls that paint out, kind of makes those ripples. All right, so we've got that. We've got our 2 down, and we'll move on to our 3rd here. So we'll make our little line of white here and run it on a little bit more. And I think that's about good. Probably about to what we had with the acrylic. All right, we'll get our scraper here and we will pull it through. Okay, so we do get a lot of waves here. I think I probably did pull it a little harder. I did push into a little more as we kind of went along. That is what that stretch looks like. Now, but before it dries, we're gonna go ahead and flip this bad boy around, and we are going to get the other side. And yes, I'm putting this into a pool of its own paint, but it's all in the name of science. All right, so we've got that. We are going to start with black on this side. I'm gonna run it all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to run it down there, right there, and pretty good. So now we can pull this one through. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I like how dark that made it. And if I was making a painting with these colors, I might actually stop. It's very dark heavy, but it looks very cool. Almost like, I don't know, Gotham. It just reminds me of Batman. I don't know why. So if I was going to make a painting, I'd probably stop there. But you know what, guys? We can't. We cannot stop. We have to make it equal. All right, so we're gonna run our paint down the side, and we will go ahead and pull it through now. Here we go. Ooh, that one just slid right over. Okay, that's very cool. It's cool looking. I don't like it as much as it looked just a minute ago, but it does look kind of cool. But in the name of science, we must do our final layer so that we can say we gave it an honest try and a fair comparison. As fair as we could make it, right? All right, and here we go with that final layer. Pull that bad boy through. It's weird that the white makes those waves more than anything else. I'm not sure what's up with that. Maybe the white's a little thicker. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so that is it. We've got some nice waves. I do like the waves. I think they're a cool effect. Just think it's interesting that the white does it more than anything else. But then we also have these ripples over here. Okay, so we're done. I'm gonna move these paint cans because what I'm gonna do is now I'm going to put them side by side so we can compare them. And I think that I'll probably put it on the right side. I was gonna put it on the left, but it is, there's a lot of paint, if you haven't noticed, a lot of wet paint on that. So we'll put this down here. I will take my gloves off. Taking the gloves off, baby. And we will take a look. So here is a bird's eye view of the two finished pieces. All right, now I'm gonna move some stuff out of the peripheral a little bit. There, so we can kind of get a nice focused image here. All right, so let's kind of just looking over them from the top down, some things to notice. So you definitely see more layers on this one. You can see the stacking of the layers. So you can see that the white from the canvas, but then you can also see the different ripples of the color here. So these are the stacks of the colors on top of each other. It's almost like a shadow because you can see that layer kind of coming through underneath. So you definitely get that more with the acrylic than you do the gloss enamel. Now you still see some of the layering. You see it here. That's what the dark coming through. That's why it's so dark underneath, because of the stacking. And you can kind of see that it eroded here. This is also from suction. So this little like dark ripple here where it kind of goes through color and then like a black hole almost, and then you see the color. That's actually from suction, I believe. So what it does is it pulls it and it like kind of releases and then pulls it through. I'm pretty sure that that's what's happening is it's almost like a suction. So as you're getting to the end, you're kind of releasing that suction. And that's why it's so heavy on here and then lighter over here. Over here, you don't see it as much. You actually see kind of less of that. You see more, you definitely see, you know, I believe that I tend to go a little lighter here and then heavier as I go. I don't know what it is. That's just kind of how I tend to do it, I guess. But with this, you definitely see more of the different colors because of the stacking. So because the acrylic is actually thicker, it doesn't go as far. So it tends to kind of build up on itself. Whereas the gloss enamel, because it's very thin, very wet, you can pull it all the way across. And you saw that when we started doing the second set of layers, you saw that it was just kind of gliding right across. So ultimately, these are the different effects you get using gloss enamel versus acrylic. Acrylic tends to give you more thicker layers, and you can stack it better with different colors, especially if you don't push as hard as I did. Again, I might do another video where I do a ton of layers. I'm thinking of like doing a video with a spray painting of 25 layers, just kind of trying to stack them as much as possible, you know, not pulling off as much as I can and just stacking layer after layer. So we might do that. But with the gloss enamel, you get these much thinner layers. However, they tend to bleed a little bit more. It can look good depending on how you pull it off, but it's also a little easier to ruin the painting. Ultimately, they're two different, they look completely different. Same technique, but two different paints can produce two different looking effects. Now, I'm personally a fan of the gloss enamel because of these thinner layers, because of the effects like this where it has like these lines, also these little waves, these little arcs. I don't know why just the white does it, but I think it looks very cool. Also, this like red here kind of gives it definition, you know, gives a little bit of character. So I like that. I tend to like that more than the acrylic. The acrylic, although looks very cool, the acrylic looks very cool. I think I actually don't use enough acrylic. Because it's thicker, you kind of have to use more acrylic in order to get it to pull out. Also, another thing to note is that earlier in the video, I talked about how with the plexiglass, you have a lot of artists that do like scrape type paintings. They put the paint on, you know, their scraping tool, and then they put it across the canvas. That's also a good idea. And I recommend doing that if you were going to do scrape paintings, although I've done it both ways. But ultimately, that's it. So I wanted to show you these two difference. I'll give you kind of a little bit of a close-up here and just kind of let you see some of the details between these two. And this is the gloss enamel. Again, much thinner layers with a little bit more mixture. And then this is the acrylic. You can see a little bit of the binder kind of tearing there. That's what those clouds are. And you can see the stacking of the different layers. And that's pretty much it, guys. So overall, I think it was a fun experiment, and I really wanted to get this out to you guys so you can kind of see a lot of people have been asking about the differences of using gloss enamel versus acrylic and what the effects are and how that looks. Now you guys get to see it firsthand. So that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe if you want to buy any artwork. The link is in the description. But that's it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. God bless, and see you then. Bye, guys.